Let me talk about some other sophisticated, advanced capabilities of the user interface. The first one of these is device independence. Now, device independence is not so much a feature of the user interface. It's a feature of developing applications that do their output to the screen as part of their user interface and do their hard copy in a similar fashion and in a fashion that is independent of what the particular display device and hard copy device is. If I run the Notepad application, for example, I can type into this application, creating a memo, and later on use the file print command to print my memo. The way that that application draws to the screen and draws to the printer, outputs to the printer, is the same regardless of what the output device is. Going back to the control panel, I can see that the current output device is a PostScript printer. If I switch that to be an Epson printer or a PCL printer, a LaserJet, the Notepad application would not have to do anything different. It could output the same way it output to the PostScript printer. MS Windows and the Windows Presentation Manager offer a device-independent way of doing hard copy. This device independence also relates to outputting to the screen. What we're seeing here is an EGA screen. If this were a VGA screen, or if this were a high-resolution monochrome monitor, the applications would do their output the same way. You as software developers no longer need to know the details of every single different output device. You can get away from supporting devices and concentrate just on your application code. Now, almost the exact opposite of device independence is the need to do WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get user interfaces. In a WYSIWYG interface, you don't want to ignore the output device. On the screen, you want to be able to show the user as much as possible exactly what the user is going to see on his output device. The Microsoft Write application, for instance, if you choose Helvetica text, italicized, it shows you the wrong thing. Let's try that again. If you choose Helvetica text, italicized, and you have a printer that is capable of outputting Helvetica text italicized, it'll show you that font on the screen. If you use spaces to format your document, if you try to align things in a column, Microsoft Write will try very hard to show you on the screen exactly what you're going to see on the printer so that you can do these alignments and you can format your document as accurately as possible. To be able to do this what you see is what you get type user interfaces, Microsoft Write needs to be able to ask the system for a lot of information. It needs to be able to ask the system, what kind of fonts are supported on this output device? What kind of resolution is it using? What is the aspect ratio of that device? Microsoft Windows and the Presentation Manager provide this information to application programs so that they can provide WYSIWYG type interfaces. Furthermore, they provide this information in a device-independent fashion. Microsoft Write is able to request this information from the system, but again, it does so in a standard fashion regardless of what the output device is. If, for instance, I switch to a LaserJet printer and I specify that I have a Microsoft cartridge on it, using the same kind of API calls to the system, Microsoft Write can determine that the LaserJet with this cartridge supports the same font and continues to show Helvetica italicized text on the screen. If I were to select a different printer, something like an LaserJet printer without a cartridge, Microsoft Write would detect that this font was unavailable and instead would show Courier font, the only font available on a LaserJet with no cartridge at all. So thus, Microsoft Windows and the Presentation Manager provide capabilities for both device-independent, blind interchange kind of user interfaces and more sophisticated WYSIWYG type interfaces.